So you've created your plan, either maybe you started on your own in the game, connected to an advisor, maybe your advisor did the whole thing for you. You've gone through the process, you've built everything, you have a plan of action going forward. What do you do now? We don't want to necessarily lose the client at this point. We want to keep the client connected as an enterprise in order to continue providing value through either the current year, maybe it's multi-years that we keep working on that plan. Maybe we need to see later on what it is we want to do in terms of planning going forward. Voyant's portal platform is known as Snapshot. And Snapshot, again, is something that it's a platform. We start with a base and we can configure it for different enterprises. This is our base user interface. The key elements or data elements here are quite interesting that we're going to talk a bit about is really you started with some number at the plan start. We have an end of year projection and here's currently what we're getting in terms of your net worth. Here's investment and savings values. And we can drill down quite a bit into this in terms of the pieces that are there. We can look at things like asset allocations. We can add different data elements, for example, from data partners with things like top 10 holdings. In this account, for example, and yes, this is all just test data. Most of what we're getting is from a live feed from MX, where we're pulling over some test data, and we can look at these different values in the accounts in real time and see that they came over from an integrated partner. So it's a connected platform that allows us to do a lot of different things. Now, I should make the point, it's a platform, and we have the ability, of course, to white label it. We have the ability to change it completely. Everything, again, we do at Voyant is in the APIs. And so as long as we have it in the API for our own use or our base use, we can then reuse our own APIs and change the UI. So in this case, BMO's client portal is Snapshot. It looks a bit different than our base version does with its BMO's different pieces put into the way they want it. It includes some what-if scenarios with it as well. It allows them to play a bit. We have the idea of seeing how we originally were doing on our plans in terms of projected funding and different goals that are in place. So all of these elements we can look and play through and then allow the client to decide what pieces they want to do. Maybe there's some scenarios or limited scenarios we want to allow them to do in the plan, which is what we've done here with remove a lump sum, save more, change a goal, change your goal timing, all these pieces. So it blends planning with this idea of the future and where we're going forward. I mean, we can look at items like, for example, their net worth in the plan and where assets are currently being held and where the different values are in terms of some of the details. As I mentioned before, we can run those what-if scenarios and things we can play with. So each enterprise that we work with has the ability to then customize this to fit their look and feel, fit their business processes, and really can do it multiple times inside the enterprise so that some folks may not actually see certain elements that others might. For example, in BMO's case, there's quite a few users that don't see these what-ifs. In their high net worth plans, they don't see these what-ifs because it's something they want the advisor to do for them. And so everybody's a bit different in terms of what it is they want them to do and what it is they're looking to do inside the system. But the concept is still just very much the same. How am I doing today from integrated data and elements in the system versus how I'm going to do in the future? And that's really what we're looking to do and play with in that case. We can drill down and look at individual accounts that are inside the system and work with those different pieces that exist. We can then talk about reprojecting the plan into the future. So we can look at today's values and say, based on today's values we've got in, how is this plan going to perform if we take these going forward? And we can put in different insights in the system here as well that will allow us to do different things. So in this case, I basically said, look, my goals are all still on track, but it's that piece that we can come back to on a daily basis. It gives us that ability to constantly stay connected. In some cases, the advisors use Snapshot to go in and look at things and call the client saying, you're doing great. In other cases, the client goes in and looks at it directly themselves and says, look, I'm doing good, or wow, what's going on? My goals aren't doing so well. But we keep that conversation going as part of the life cycle so that we can see that if things aren't reprojecting too well, maybe we need to come in and replan. The markets didn't go as well as we thought. Maybe we're not saving as much. Maybe we're doing better and have new goals. We want to add new goals to the plan. So maybe we'll make our way back over to game and start playing in the game and then work our way back through the planning process. But it's all part of this life cycle that Voyant has put together where everything's connected and everything is meant to keep the client constantly engaged.